Tonight, Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed alleges plan to rig forthcoming general elections in his state through federal might, maintains any such attempt will fail. 3 policemen taken into custody after one of them allegedly shot and killed a female lawyer in Ajah area of Lagos. Governor Sanwo-Olu vows to ensure justice prevails in the matter as the Inspector General of Police orders investigation. And we begin our assessment of the sectoral performance in the outgoing year with a focus on security tonight. And 10 people killed, 5 others injured after a bus they were traveling in hit a landmine in Burkina Faso.
On business news tonight, National Pension Commission approves a monthly pension increase for retirees under the contributory pension scheme with effect from February next year.
On sports news tonight, Newcastle United Football Club cruised past Leicester City with 3 first-half goals in the English Premier League Boxing Day fixture to claim a 6th consecutive victory and move up to 2nd in the table.
And from Abuja, the Catholic Bishop of Yola Diocese calls for speedy justice delivery to decongest correctional centers in the country. Says there's no justice in keeping people in prison for 5 years without trial.
And as the general elections draw nearer, political actors are mapping out strategies to emerge victorious. But Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, for him, he said the moves by some politicians are sinister. Governor Mohammed is alleging a plot to rig him out of office in the 2023 governorship election in the state. But he has also vowed that those trying to do so using federal might will not succeed. The governor made the remark when he received the Bauchi State Christian community who paid him Christmas homage. Our correspondent Hajra Aliyu has more.
As a tradition, the Christian community in Bauchi are here again to interface with the state government. It's indeed a time for merriment. This visit is particularly important because of the 2023 general election, and the visitors did not hold back their support.
Your Excellency, what else will I say now? What I said is to thank you. But I know that there is a task before you. The 2023 is very critical. Okay?
Regardless of the support, the governor has some concerns about the election.
Our own responsibility is Bauchi. Our federation is Bauchi, even though we believe in the federation. When Bauchi walks, everywhere will walk. Let us work together. Let us move together with unity. There are so many plans to rig the election using the federal might. Will it work? Shall we allow them? We are with God and we are with you.
The visitors came bearing gifts for the governor. They also gave him an award for peace as he promises to reciprocate the gesture by doing better in his 2nd term. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
In Akwa Ibom State, Governor Udom Emmanuel has asked the people of Mpatenin, local government area of the state, to vote massively for the People's Democratic Party's candidate, Pastor Umar Eno, in the next governorship election 2023. Governor Emmanuel made the request during a campaign tour across the state.
The People's Democratic Party campaign train has stopped in Mpaeni, local government area of the state, where thousands of party supporters all gathered at the Mpaeni mini stadium to support the PDP governorship candidate, Pastor Umar Eno. Governor Udom Emmanuel and wife Martha, lead members of the State Executive Council, the party structure, and other prominent political stakeholders. people sing and dance to demonstrate their support for the party and all its candidates. State chairman of People's Democratic Party, Anekan Akpan, stresses the need for the people to get their PVCs ahead of the general elections.
Our pro-candidate, say PDP, as endorsed by the people.
As I said, as we go around all other local governments.
The PDP candidate, Pastor Omo Eno, acknowledges the vast natural endowments of the area and promises to develop them for the benefit of the people.
We will ensure that we intervene in that market. We will intervene in health. We will intervene in education. We will intervene in industries, working with investors to make sure that Akwa Ibom is not left out. To make sure that mining is not left out. Mining cannot be left out.
Governor Udom Emmanuel advises the people to remain in the mainstream of the state politics to continue to enjoy the benefits of democracy.
You need to support me. You need to support yourself so that we can also have a voice. A good voice, not just any voice. We can also have a voice and not a noise. I promise under Atiku Abubakar we'll have a voice and not a noise. At the same time. So we have every reason as a people, forward-looking people, to support PDP.
Pastor Omo Eno also visits the paramount ruler of Nkpateni for his royal blessings. The party's local government campaign tour resumes after the New Year break.
And still ahead of the general elections 2023, regardless of who emerges president next year, immediate results may not be achieved in 4 years because of the level of decay in the system. That's according to a former Minister of Education, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili. Dr. Ezekwesili is urging the presidential candidates to tell Nigerians the truth instead of promising immediate results. She was speaking to our political correspondent, Terry Kumi.
Candidates who are running for elections must tell the electorate the bitter truth. The bitter truth is that the country is not in a place for any president to immediately deliver results. I think what matters is that you have a president who actually understands the problems that would need to be solved and has an idea of how to go about solving it. Any candidate who is promising you instant results after 2023 elections is not being fair to you. So it is important that we should understand that citizens must be ready for the work that is ahead, because it's going to require everybody, working together to make this happen.
For that full interview, do watch Political Paradigm on Tuesday at noon and at 11 p.m. Nigeria has continued to battle a plethora of security challenges, from insurgency to kidnapping and banditry. The year 2022 has had its share of the menace, stretching the nation's resources to their limit. In this first of our special reports on 2022 in retrospect, our correspondent, Emperor Simon, takes a look at the major developments in the security sector.
The year 2022 has witnessed multi-dimensional security challenges in Nigeria, ranging from terrorism in the northeast to armed banditry and herd of farmer crisis in the northwest and north central, separatist agitation in the southeast, kidnapping for ransom, oil theft and pipeline vandalism, among other challenges in the south-south and southwest regions. In the first quarter of the year, armed men attacked a train carrying over 300 passengers from Abuja to Kaduna, killing 9 passengers and abducting over 160 others, leading to the suspension of the train services on the route for more than 8 months until the last batch of the abductees were released in November through the efforts of private mediators and a committee set up by the Defense Headquarters. In the second quarter of the year, the nation's capital Abuja witnessed heightened security threats with a brazen attack on the Kuje Medium Correctional Facility by over 60 armed terrorists, which left 1 person dead and the escape of over 600 inmates. The attack happened about the same time suspected terrorists ambushed the convoy conveying the presidency's advanced team of security guards, protocol and media officers near Dutsunma, Katsina State, killing 2 policemen in the process. The Presidential Guard Brigade was also attacked almost 3 weeks after at Buhari Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory, where at least 6 soldiers paid the supreme price. The terrorists also threatened to abduct President Muhammadu Buhari and Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State, increasing fears of imminent attacks in the nation's capital. Amidst this, the United States government issued a security alert warning its citizens to leave the country as the president summoned a meeting of security chiefs to rise to the occasion. The activities of the Eastern Security Network of the Proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra (IPOB) pose enormous security challenges in the southeastern region, as several offices of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) have come under attack by gunmen ahead of the 2023 general elections.
If we compare 2021 and 2022 in terms of figures, what we recorded, depending on the database you use, is between 8,000 to 9,000 fatalities in 2021. Unfortunately, in 2022, even though the year hasn't ended completely, we're at about 10,000 plus. So there is an increase in terms of the number of fatalities that have resulted from insecurity challenges within the country. And in analyzing this, one key component, I think, is the increase in security operations.
Nevertheless, the security agencies continue to record some successes, with the Nigerian Armed Forces sustaining its ground and air operations in the northeast, which has seen hundreds of Boko Haram and the Islamic State West African province members killed, while over 80,000 terrorists and their families have also surrendered to troops. Abductees, including some of the Chibok schoolgirls, were also rescued. The armed forces, in collaboration with other security agencies, have also sustained onslaught on bandits in other parts of the north, as they also battled the IPOB fighters in the southeast and oil thieves in the south-south region.
Some of the roads that were closed, we have also reopened them. We have also joined in having to improve the quality of those roads, the state of those roads, to be able to enable unfettered access, and especially for the humanitarian agencies who give one form of support to the other to those who are challenged.
We confronted the threats frontally, gallantly, took the battle to the doorsteps of all the criminal elements and successfully stabilized the internal security order as the year winds down.
Despite the successes, there are still challenges.
The 2 major challenges are this. The absence of synergy within the security sector is a function of the weakness of our security sector governance. The second component is lack of accountability within the security sector, which is also a function of governance. All this, the 3 major things that happened: attack on the Kaduna-bound train, the Kuje prison incident, and to an extent even the U.S. terror alert. No one single person within the security sector has been held accountable.
As the year 2022 comes to an end and Nigeria prepares to usher in a new government in 2023, the task ahead, besides military operations, may now be to address what is considered the root causes of insecurity in the country, namely poverty, unemployment and injustice, among others. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
In part 2, after the break, we'll be taking a further look at the security sector in 2022, and we have a former Army spokesperson, retired Brigadier General Sani Usman, to discuss this. That's in a moment. Do stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed alleges plan to rig forthcoming general elections in his state through federal might, maintains that any such attempt will fail. 3 policemen taken into custody after one of them allegedly shot and killed a female lawyer in Aja area of Lagos. Governor Sanwo-Olu vows to ensure justice prevails in the matter as Inspector General of Police orders investigation. Our assessment of sectoral performance in the outgoing year kicks off with focus on security. And 10 people killed, 5 others injured after a bus they were traveling in hit a landmine in Burkina Faso. We take a closer look at our assessment of security in 2022. And joining us live from our Abuja studio is former Army spokesperson, Brigadier General Sani Usman. Thank you and welcome to the news at 10. I'd like to begin with your thoughts. What is your assessment of the handling of issues of security this year?
Yeah, good evening and thank you for having me on your program. I would rather describe it as a very challenging and interesting. But the good thing about it is that we've been able to overcome most of the challenges to the extent that there is a noticeable improvement in terms of security in various theaters. We have been dealing with security challenges, be it in the northeast, northwest, and even the southeast now. Things are relatively calm because during the Yuletide period, I've not had any, serious security challenge. But these things are product of concerted efforts, and we have to commend the president and, of course, the security forces for living up to expectation, especially the strategic directives and the impetus given to them to deal with these issues. Unlike in the past where they were repelling, now they take the battle to the terrorists and other criminal elements. Hence, we have had the instances of successes that have been recorded over time. Take, for instance, in the northeast, we have nothing less than 83,000, Boko Haram terrorists that have surrendered. And I think what is required is taking up the issue of dealing with them, the justice system, the criminal justice system, and what have you. And of course, even in the northwest, there is a resemblance of cooperation and support, unlike in the past. However, there are issues that really need to be dealt with in terms of looking at the ethnic dimension of it and the war economy aspect of it because of the mineral resources. And of course, in the southeast, so much as we look at it, there are 2 key factors, the criminal elements and the desperation of the political elements. But given this concerted effort by the security agencies and, of course, synergy of effort, as you can see, just within the last 2 days or thereabout, the service chiefs were in the northeast, and they encouraging the troops. So that, to a large extent, goes a long way to signify, the synergy and coordination among them, and it gives the true sense of belonging. The bottom line here is that expeditious action in terms of rewards and punishment, even some of the troops were equally, rewarded, given and those who have done badly, of course, they face the military justice system. But that notwithstanding, the 2022 had its own low points in the sense that we have had, especially within the first quarter, where we had the train attack, and of course, moving further, we have the attack on correctional facilities and other facilities of the government, particularly the electoral umpire, the INEC facilities. But by and large, now things are beginning to get better, and I think there is a promise in the sense that things will continue to improve. And in fact, if you look at the maritime security also, the synergy of efforts, in fact, involving the countries in the Gulf of Guinea, improvement in the maritime environment to the extent that now we are even thinking repositioning it, the Navy for blue economy, you know, for the betterment of the Nigerian society, and of course the premium in terms of you know, ships, insurance for ships has drastically reduced.
Let me come in here, Brigadier General Usman, and this is flowing from all that you've talked about, majorly from the military standpoint. But we look at what experts are saying. These are experts in security, talking about increased fatalities compared to last year. We've had more this year, 2022. They've also talked about the absence of synergy between the agencies responsible for security in Nigeria, and most especially the lack of accountability. And this is not what Nigerians are seeing. So looking ahead at the new year coming in, what are the expectations for the military, for the government, for the people?
I think before we go into that, what I want you to understand, you have to look at when you do this comparative analysis, unlike 2021, yes, the figures might be higher this year, running into, you know, 10,000 or thereabout. But you look at the instances of the circumstances where the number has risen beyond that of 2021. You know, the unfortunate incidents in Zamfara State and all the rest of the things. So, but beyond that, again, when you talk about accountability, we have to look at specific instances where there were allegations that they have not been treated. And so that is it for that. But as regards to expectation, of course the expectation is higher. The security forces and the government has proven that they have the capacity and the ability to do better, as has seen within the last quarter of this year. So the expectation is equally higher in the sense that we have two major activities in 2023, the general elections and of course the census. These things cannot be carried out in atmosphere of insecurity. Therefore, there is high expectation on the part of the populace that improvement, I mean, security should be improved to have an enabling environment for this two activities to take place, so that we have, you know, a free, fair, and credible election, and of course census, because it's been quite a long time when we had census, and you know, census helps in, you know, planning and you know, national development and other things. So you cannot, you know, have such things without, you know, enabling environment, you know, highly secured environment to have it. So therefore, there is high expectation. But of course, on the part of the military, I know the government has been doing the best they could. Take, for instance, for the Air Force, they have taken delivery of over 38 aircrafts. And I think between now to the next quarter, I mean, 2023, they will take about 40 more aircrafts, which to a large extent is the, you know, the turning point for all the security challenges, especially dealing with banditry, terrorism, and insurgency. And of course, it is the same thing with the Army, it is the same thing with the Navy and other security agencies. So they knew that definitely there is high expectation on them, and I think they are getting their acts more together to ensure that they deliver.
It is something we both agree on, the high expectations ahead of 2023. We appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you so much for having me.
Still ahead on the News at 10, the National Pension Commission approves a monthly pension increase for retirees under the Contributory Pension Scheme with effect from February next year. That's on Business News. Please join us again. We continue with security to an incident that occurred on Christmas Day. An assistant superintendent of police and two of his colleagues have been taken into custody after the yet-to-be-named officer allegedly shot and killed a Lagos-based lawyer, Mrs. Omobolanle Rahim, in the Ajah area of the state. The spokesperson of the Lagos State Police Command, Benjamin Hundeyin, confirmed the incident as well as the arrest in a tweet. It reads, "Unfortunate and avoidable incident that was. The ASP that shot and two others with him have since been taken into custody. They are to be moved to the SCID for further investigation." Mrs. Rahim, her husband and children were said to be returning from a Christmas Day church service when they were stopped by the police under the Ajah Bridge. Her husband, who was driving, was said to have waited for a car to pull out before parking properly when the policeman shot his wife in the chest. Her children and sister reportedly witnessed the shooting. Meanwhile, the Lagos State Governor has condemned the killing and vowed that all efforts will be made to get to the root of the matter and ensure that justice prevails. We're off to our Abuja studios for more stories. Makwe Yusuf is standing by. Hi, Makwe. Good to see you.
Hello, Millicent. We have some more reactions to that very tragic incident which happened in Lagos. This time, the Nigerian Bar Association has uncovered some facts surrounding the murder of its member, Mrs. Bolanle Rahim. The association says it has identified the policeman who allegedly shot and killed the female lawyer as ASP Drambi Vandi, an officer said to have been in the police service for 33 years. In a statement signed by the NBA Publicity Secretary, Habib Lawal, the association condemned the incident. According to the statement, the NBA president, senior advocate of Nigeria, Yakubu Meikau, has commiserated with the family of the late Mrs. Rahim and pledged that the NBA will be a complainant in the case alongside the family. The association says it is disturbed that the Nigerian police seems to be back to the dark days of police brutality and admonished that the lessons from the EndSARS protest should not be lost on any individual or authority. In Adamawa State, the Catholic Bishop of Yola Diocese, Most Reverend Dami Mamza, is calling for speedy justice delivery in order to decongest the correctional centers across the country. The cleric made this demand during a visit to the Jimeta Correctional Center as part of activities marking this year's Christmas in Yola, the state capital. The bishop describes as unfair a situation in which suspects are held in custody for over 5 years without trial.
Some of them have been awaiting trial for 5 years, 6 years, nearly 10 years, and nobody takes them to the court to go and pass the judgment. So I am calling on the Chief Judge of Adamawa State to please speedily do something in order that they can take these people to the court. How can somebody spend 2, 3, 4, 5 years awaiting trial without? It's not fair. And if at the end of the day the person is now jailed probably for 2 years and you have already spent 5 years here, there's no justice there. And what about if the person at the end of the day is innocent? So, and I think I want to call on those responsible, please look into this issue.
In other stories, the Household of God Church has held a special service to mark this year's Christmas celebrations. Many of the congregants were seen in a joyous mood and were full of thanksgiving to God for another year of celebrations. Senior pastor of the church, Reverend Chris Okotie, urged Nigerians not to harbor fear ahead of the 2023 elections, adding that the birth of Jesus Christ signifies peace.
The holiday season is here, Christmas. The celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ is the reason for this season. The Household of God congregation converged on the auditorium. Dressed in costumes reminiscent of any Bible character and conviction of their choice, the mood is joyous.
When you see me dance, I dance like a winner woman.
In his style, replicating Melchizedek, the senior pastor leads the congregation in moments of worship and praise. Special renditions from various birth month celebrants also featured.
Your praise cannot be taken. Your grace cannot be taken. Your
favor cannot be taken. Can you say amen, somebody?
Yes, it's a Christmas service celebration, but it was also dedicated to some serious prayers.
I come against the spirit of fear. I bind you in the name of Jesus. I break your power today in the name of Jesus.
Reading from St. Luke's Gospel, chapter 1, from verse 26, Reverend Kote speaks to Mary's receiving of God's word without doubt and the disruptive positive effects of God's intervention in human affairs.
I like the fact that Christmas is the time when God disrupts. By the time they came for the wedding, Mary had changed. The Mary that Joseph married is not the same Mary. I came here to tell you, you may be called Sheku, you may be called Ifueko, but after today, you will not be the same again.
The service comes to a close with these words.
The immutability of God's counsel cannot be impeached. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, the city of David, just like the prophet said. And so today, based on the faithfulness and the fidelity of that prophecy, we can see that there is going to be peace on earth eventually when the true Prince of Peace returns.
And from the Household of God Church, happy celebrations and prosperous 2023.
And that's all from our Abuja studios, but Jeffrey Ozono is standing by in Lagos with business news.
Thanks, Mark. Now welcome to Business News. The National Pension Commission says it has approved the increase of monthly pension for retirees under the contributory pension scheme. A statement by the PENCOM says the development which marks the third edition of pension enhancement will take effect from February next year. The Commission explains that the new increase will apply to retirees under the programmed withdrawal, which have accumulated significant growth in their retirement savings. Now, the forex trading activity on the FMDQ exchange ended positive last week as the total turnover of transactions carried out at the FX spot forwards and futures market rose by 7.34% to $1.1 billion as at December the 23rd. However, the further analysis of the trading results shows that total value of transactions at FX spot market fell by over 13.0% to $735 million. The forward segment recorded more than 800%, while the FX derivatives market turnover jumped by 83.07% to $417.8 million. Meanwhile, the Naira depreciated by 1.1% to 452 Naira 76 kobo against the dollar at the Nigerian Autonomous Forex Exchange window at the forex market. In contrast, to 447 Naira 58 kobo recorded in the previous week. Let's go to all the stories on business. Nigeria's formal financial sector is closed for the two-day Christmas break declared last week by the federal government. But let's bring you a wrap of activities on the market. At the local stock market, the NGX All Share Index closed the third trading week of the month with a 213 billion Naira gain, while the week and the year-to-date returns stood at 0.79% and 16.36%, respectively. For the unlisted securities market, it ended the week negative as the OTC Securities Exchange Index dropped by 0.61%, while the total market value dropped by 5.68 billion Naira to close at 925 billion Naira. And outside our shores, most of the world's markets in the US, Europe, Africa, and Asian countries are closed today for Boxing Day, but the markets in Japan, China, and Korea were open in thin post-Christmas holiday trading. Here are some of the figures for today. And that's it on Business News. I'm Jeffrey Ozono. It's back to Millicent for the rest of the news on 10.
this is what they call 21st century. When my customer say I want to use POS, I will just bring out my phone, open the application, use this, press this code. I don't have anyone that using POS anymore.
10 people have been killed, 5 others wounded after a bus they were traveling in hit a landmine near the border with Niger. Details of the accident are still unfolding. Meanwhile, in New York, the governor has described the city of Buffalo as a war zone. This is following severe winter storm that swept across North America. Simon PC has more in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. At least 38 deaths have now been linked to a severe Arctic freeze that continues to pummel the US and Canada. The worst hit area has been the city of Buffalo in New York State. 4 fatalities occurred in Canada when a bus rolled over an icy road near the town of Merritt in the western province of British Columbia. The scope of the winter storm has been unprecedented, stretching from Canada as far south as the Rio Grande. Forecasters say the storm will ease off in the next few days, but the advice remains to avoid travelling unless essential. The storm has wreaked havoc for days, but power has steadily restored after earlier blackouts. Drone footage here shows the full extent of traffic chaos, many simply abandoning their cars, others doing their best to dig themselves out. The Erie County Executive said the storm's confirmed death toll has climbed to at least 12 on Christmas Day.
Unfortunately, we have 12 deaths that have been confirmed by the Erie County Department of Health Medical Examiner Office. I can specifically note that 6 were in the city of Buffalo, 3 were in the town of Amherst, of which 1 of them was in the village of Amherst, located in the town. 3 were in the town of Cheektowaga, of which 1 of them was in the village of Depew in the town of Cheektowaga. The youngest individual was age 26. The oldest individual was age 93. And unfortunately, we do believe, based on reports we're getting from the field, we are going to get a number, hopefully not a significant number, but a number of additionally confirmed deaths.
A Ukrainian drone attack on an airbase for bombers in southern Russia has left 3 people dead. Defense staff said air defenses shot down the drone near the Engels base, but falling debris fatally wounded 3 technical staff. Earlier this month, Russia accused Ukraine of a similar attack on the airfield, home to bombers that have carried out missile attacks on Ukraine. Helicopters in South Korea have been guarding the skies after the 2 Koreas traded fire into each other's waters. The South also claims a North Korean drone crashed on a border island. South Korean authorities say a preliminary investigation has concluded that the drone came from North Korea. 6 people have died and 2 were injured after a passenger bus careered off a bridge and plunged into an overflowing river in northwestern Spain. 2 survivors, the vehicle's 63-year-old driver and a female passenger, were pulled out of the river by firefighters with rope and taken to nearby hospitals with varying degrees of injury. The river's strong current and high flow due to heavy rains sweeping the glacier region hampered efforts to retrieve the bodies throughout the weekend. Emergency services were first alerted by a call from a passer-by who noticed the bridge's protective barrier had been severely damaged. Voter registration has kicked off in Democratic Republic of Congo over the weekend as the country prepares for the general election. President Felix Tshisekedi is expected to seek re-election after a first term marked by economic hardship and a resurge of rebel activity in the east. Almost 50 million people across the Central African nation's 26 provinces are expected to register to vote over the next 3 months. The logistical challenges of holding an election in such a vast country with limited resources were felt early on, as registration opened in the first 10 provinces to long lines and undersupplied stations. And residents in Ukrainian folklore costumes sang Christmas carols inside a metro station in Kyiv during an air raid alarm. In the past, Ukrainian Christians mostly celebrated Christmas in early January. This year, though, the holiday is celebrated by many on December the 25th, as Ukraine's main Orthodox church has broken with Moscow and turned its face towards the west. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Welcome to Sports News. Newcastle United manager Eddie Howe admits the fans of the Magpies will be dreaming of an unexpected English Premier League title challenge after his side's 3-0 win at Leicester City earlier today. Well, Howe's side climbed to second place thanks to first-half goal blitz at the King Power Stadium. But Howe says he was delighted to see Newcastle's pre-World Cup momentum was not affected by the pause for the tournament in Qatar. In other EPL Boxing Day results, Liverpool got off to a good start, winning 3-1 at Aston Villa as the Premier League return from the World Cup. That was in the evening. Well, they now cut the gap to the top 4 on 5 points. Well, Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk put the Reds in a commanding position before half-time. Well, in other games, Fulham beat Crystal Palace 3-0. Everton lost 1-2 to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Brighton beat Southampton by 3-1. And that's a wrap on Sports News. I'm Ayotunde Balogun.
Thanks, Ayotunde. And the main news again. Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed today alleged plans to rig the forthcoming general elections in his state through federal might. He maintained that any such attempt will fail. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Have a good night and stay safe.